Good morning, friends. Today we are going to start our ethics lecture 16 and continuing from the last chapter which we were doing. In that, we were continuing with the dedication to public service. Dedication to public service we had discussed, and most of its concepts will overlap with the chapter which we are going to start today. And the chapter of today's chapter is civil service, values and ethics. Civil service or public service, values and ethics in public administration. Now you must be wondering, civil service, public administration, are all these things different? The answer is no. In our context, as we are going to cover all our syllabus, especially for GS paper 4, the civil service, public administration, all will mean the same things, one and the same things. You have not to get into the technicalities of it, which is reserved for, again, public administration, optional subject, which is not required for us at all. Now, in this chapter, what are we going to study specifically? You have understood the thread of the chapter. What is that? We have already discussed the value system. They are actually talking about the civil services, values and ethics. And as we have seen, the framework of the value system provides you the ethical conduct. The framework of ethical conduct comes from the value system which you have ingrained in your personality through various methods of socialization, starting with your early childhood with parents, then your peer group, then teachers, then in your private space you encounter many people on a daily basis from whom you learn. Then in your public space you have your mentors, role models from whom you are learning. There is media, there is culture, there is religion, the laws and regulations of the country concerned. These all give you an ethical value framework, according to which your ethical conduct is defined. And your ethical conduct is also defined, or it also defines the attitude you have. The kind of attitude you have is dependent upon the ethical conduct, which is dependent upon the value system which you are having. So the main core of each and everything is your value system which you are having. And in that value system also we have understood, if you look at the civil services value system, the most important value which you must have is your compassion. Compassion, then empathy, these two things which will help you to tolerate the diversity. Most important is your compassion, and from there emerges each and every value, because compassion is not only being empathetic, responsive and sensitive towards the living beings, but non-living beings as also. Fine. So we'll move forward to our chapter today, which is civil services, values and ethics in public administration, or values and ethics of civil services, under which what we have to study? We have to study the status. What is the current status and the problems? Status and problems with respect to civil services. What is the status of the civil services? How it is conducting itself right now, and what are the problems that we are encountering as far as civil services of India and civil services in general is concerned. After that, we'll see the ethical dilemma, ethical and moral dilemma, ethical and moral dilemma in private as well as government institutions. Because we are learning ethical conduct as part of our training to become an efficient, effective civil servant. And we are required to see that not only the ethical conduct is there in the government institutions but the private space also. Because the common citizen will not only encounter the government institutions but private space also. Suppose a student goes to take admission in one of the institution which is training aspirants for civil services. So in that case, the student is going into a private space which is not authorized by the government of India, but still the conduct of private space, the private institution in form of educational institutions like private coaching institutions is also required. That is why you must have found that in the recent news there was a news that CCPA, I want you to go and see this, what is CCPA. I can tell you, but I'm not deliberately telling you. You go and see what is CCPA. Its chairperson has sent notice to 20 coaching institutions who are training civil service aspirants, including some big names. So they have asked the institutions to explain why have all of them published the name of the toppers. Like one ranker, rank 1, is being claimed from all of the institutions. How is it possible that each and every institution is claiming that rank 1 is from our institution? How is it possible? Did the rank 1 go to each and every institution? It happened during the Tina Dabi's selection in 2015 that she claimed that she came from Khan Study Group, KSG. Then later on when the scrutiny was done, it was found that she has never taken admission in KSG. So allegedly she took huge amount of money, and the coaching institutions got a bad name. So it is not only the government institutions but the private institutions also, they have an interface with the citizens, and as a civil servant it is our duty to see that there is a highest standards of ethical and moral conduct, not only in the government institutions but in the private institutions as well. Otherwise, as a common citizen, you should expect ethical and moral conduct not only from the government institutions like your police stations, like your central secretariat, like your judiciary, but apart from that, the private hospital should also follow the ethical moral conduct in its daily routine. To ensure that there are several rules, laws, regulations, then there is a moral framework, there is a conscience, because when all the rules, regulations, all moral values, all the books are done away with, then your call of conscience decides, your call of conscience defines how will you move forward. Okay, so these two topics, status and problems, primarily we'll be looking at the problems vis-a-vis the ethical and moral conduct in the civil services. Then we'll see the dilemma part. Where are the dilemmas? Where is the origin of the dilemma and how to solve this dilemma? What are the sources? What is the best way out? Then to solve this dilemma, what all tools we have? Laws, rules, regulations. Then we have, as I talked about, conscience also. Your inner moral compass. What is conscience? Conscience is your inner moral compass. something which guides you to conduct yourself in an ethical and moral way, but there is no defined rule outside which does this. Okay, so this conscience as a source of your ethical moral conduct. Then we'll move to another topic, accountability and ethical governance. Accountability and ethical governance, where again in public and private institutions both, how an accountable government can be formed, how ethical governance can be done. That will be our topic. Then within this topic only, we will see strengthening of moral and accountable governance. Few other smaller topics like corporate governance will also come. Corporate governance, because corporate governance concerning itself with the governance in the private institutions, but they also have to be moral, ethical, and they should not only abide by the rules and regulations, constitution, rules, regulations, laws, bylaws of the country, but apart from that, they should also adhere to the moral, ethical conduct. Then, the ethical moral conduct in the international institutions. Why we are learning these international institutions? Because we have an interface with the international institutions as well. Suppose World Bank gives a soft loan. You understand what is soft loan? Soft loan is a loan which is given to the developing countries at a very low rate of interest. That is a soft loan. For health and well-being of adult, young adult women. Suppose there is a Path Foundation, then it is running, it is managed by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation runs it. And they say that we are conducting a psychological, physical health, well-being camp for adolescent women. And as you know that there is a very high incidence of prevalence of this HPV, human papilloma virus. Among young people, especially in young women. So they say that we are actually conducting a trial for vaccines. A vaccine can be found so that they will not have any of these issues, any of these disease concerned with the human papilloma virus. But actually what they are doing, they have made these young women guinea pig. So they are the or subject of trial, better word. The vaccine has not come in the market, it has not been tested by pharmaceutical companies, but still they are conducting the trial over these young women. Now, since we have got a loan from World Bank, we are bound by certain terms and conditions. We need to allow this. But as it came out after the conducting of the trial, what came out in public is that these actually were fraudulent a mischief was being done. They are conducting a trial of a vaccine which has not been tested by the pharmaceutical companies. So it had very adverse health consequences. Firstly, it's an adverse health consequences. Secondly, it is concerned with women, young women. So it's a matter of huge uproar in the assembly, in the Lok Sabha. So now you have to see that how they were able to conduct the trial for a vaccine which has not been tested by the pharmaceutical companies, because they did not follow the guidelines. Likewise, you must have heard about the surrogacy practice. So what happened? India became a tourist hub for foreigners who used to come here and find poor women from villages and all, from the hinterland of the country, interiors of the country, asking them to become surrogates for their children, giving them some money. But there is no harm in that. If they get some money in lieu of that, if they are able to provide a kid to the person, there is no harm in that. But what happened? Some women, they, without caring of their health, without going through the proper channels of health consultation, they started volunteering for lots of surrogacies. It had adverse effect on their mental, physical and psychological well-being. It affected their families, it affected their own life. So government had to intervene. And doctors could also have suggested, but they were not following the ethical guidelines. Doctors could have suggested that you have become a surrogate for 4 children already. Now going for another surrogacy will hamper your well-being, psychological well-being. So it is not only the national institutions, but the international institutions, they have an interface with us. This is one. Then you must have heard about the NGOs getting grant. Through foreign contributors, foreign channels, philanthropists and other people who contribute to the NGOs. Foreign Regulation and Contribution Act, FRCA. There was changes which were brought recently in this act, because it was found that the NGOs were taking money from international institutions which was actually black money, and they were not promoting the well-being in the country, but they were promoting hate in the country. They were creating polarization in the society, and they were propagating certain religions like Christianity also. They were propagating these religions. Some of them were also involved in training of the or motivating luring of the young adults from various parts of the country like UP, those who are trained to join ISIS like institutions. Islamic institutions who are involved in terrorism worldwide. So we have an interface everywhere. Apart from the rules, laws, regulations which define the ethical framework, there are some other ways also. The moral compass, conscience, as I talked about, the mentors, the training which is done for civil servants, so that they see that it is not only the laws but the ethical conduct should also be adhered to. This will be our framework, the complete framework of the chapter. And you will realize one thing, you will realize that what most people do, they just give you a handout or they just explain the constitutional framework, the laws, some case studies around them, but they don't talk about the most important factor, which is conscience. How conscience cuts across each and everything, and conscience becomes much better than these laws, rules, and regulations which are available as a framework to conduct yourself ethically. So, our focus will be more on this conscience part and to see where the moral dilemma comes from. Despite the fact that some of the civil servants who followed the rule like anything, they were jailed. Why? What happened, and how tough it is for a civil servant to follow the rules, laws, and regulations and keeping himself or herself flexible also. Flexibility is there so as to ensure that there is innovation, there is technology without hampering the laws, rules, regulations, working under the political pressure, and also seeing that the public interest is not compromised. So, first and foremost, we will start with the civil servants, their utility. What is the utility of civil servants? Civil servants are involved in any country, especially in your developing countries. We'll have to stop the stream. I will reconnect. Just wait. Okay, so the session was paused for some time because of some technical issue. Anyway, uh, we were talking about the civil servants. What is their role? Civil servants have a huge role to play, especially in the context of developing countries. In developing countries, civil servants not only play their traditional role, but they play the role of a leader. As I told you, during the partition itself, when which Mr. Menon, VP Menon was a British civil servant, Then he joined Indian Civil Services. He was the main advisor, the principal advisor to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and he saw that our country remained united, integrated, and all the princely states were brought into the geographical as well as the sovereignty clause of India through the smart and ethical conduct of VP Menon. He acted in a proactive manner, in a very proactive, transparent, accountable manner, apart from the fact that he used his tricks, techniques to bring some of the states which were actually not ready to join the Indian Union, like Junagadh, Hyderabad, and in the Kashmir issue also, because the VP Menon's active involvement, proactive advice, we were able to have at least one part of the, or a large part of the Kashmir, which is still there with India. There is some problem with the Pakistan occupied Kashmir because of the intervention of the UN, but still a large part is with us. We can still someday, it's a vision that someday that part which is occupied by Pakistan should also be free and it will be part of our Indian Union. So civil servants' role in these countries, especially in a developing country, a country which has very less resources, which is suffering from abject poverty. Now we cannot say that there is an abject poverty situation now in the country, but still poverty definitely is there. As I told you the other day, if you look at the Bihar census, you will realize that there are 34% people living below the poverty line, which is quite shameful. If you talk about in 21st century, we are going to enter 2024 very soon, and even in this time we have 34% of people living below the means. They are not even having 2 square meals. So this is shameful actually. Then you can see the situation of unemployment. You see, even if a government job of the rank of a constable, Havaldar, or even SI, for that, if you see the applicants who are MA, PhD, coming from IITs, this is very surprising. Some of the people who have joined Nayab Tehsildar, they are from IIT, IIM. Some of them I also know in the state of Rajasthan. I have all the data with me. You see why it is happening. This is nothing but unemployment. One is that many jobs are not there, so there are people unable to find a job. Then the people who are not able to get justice for their talent. There are people who on their own volition, voluntarily they have started something, like I started it. Coming from IIT also, I started my own venture because I feel that it is important to bring clarity in the clutter, which is confusion, which is there in the market. So many aspirants, they take so much of risk, put everything at stake. Their parents, their family members, everybody is supporting them. They are going through lots of stress, and the noise which is created by many of the institutions has kept them in such bad shape in that situation. So there is a need to bring a system, to develop a ecosystem. That is another thing. But if some people who are talented, not able to find a good job in corporates, then they come to this level of Nayab Tehsildar, inspector from IIT and IIM, then it is shameful for a country like India. In these situations, civil servants play a huge role. They are not only bringing stability in the society, but they are giving leadership and change. innovation. In the society, if you look at the profile of Amitabh Kant, who was CEO of Niti Aayog, this person is driving innovation, entrepreneurship, technological revolution, space, airspace, other industries which will ensure that we have a manufacturing led economy. What is the biggest drawback with our society, our economy? Our economy is services led. Our economy is not driven by manufacturing, so we are dependent on other countries. The goods which we are using, we are the highest population in the world. We are using so many goods, but we are not manufacturing most of them. Most of them are imported, so we have to pay for that. Then our country is youth, the large part of youth, see, more than 50%, 50% plus are involved in agriculture and allied activities. Fertilizer industry, soil health related, or any other industry, agriculture and allied. After that, a large part is absorbed in services industry. So these services which are being provided not only within the country but international fora also, that is other countries also. So we are working for other countries. That is why there was a force, there was lots of emphasis on Atmanirbharta, Atmanirbhar Bharat. That is, we should focus on manufacturing, because you see the situation of China. China became a manufacturing led, focused on manufacturing led growth. Manufacturing. China manufactures a huge volume of goods which is spread across the globe, not only India. You see the toys of children, you see the crackers, you see whatever around you, electrical appliances, electronic goods, everything, you will have a Chinese impact in our country. They are having a manufacturing led growth. That is why their economy is not only growing at a much faster pace as compared to India, they also have a huge impact on the globe. If China stops manufacturing these goods, the whole world will stop. The whole world will stop, come to a halt. But India is giving services. Indian youth is involved in BPOs, KPOs, business process outsourcing, knowledge process outsourcing. Foreign countries, they are keeping a cheap labor which is available in India as their contract labor or as their contract people. We are working for others. Then there is a brain drain also. Every year, a large part of our country, large part of youth goes to study in the foreign institutions because we don't have the universities. The thing is that there is a QS world ranking. The institutions, the universities all across the globe, they are ranked in this world ranking. If you look at the Indian institutions, what is their ranking? Even IITs and others, their ranking is also not within top 100, within top 200 also. Very few institutions have that eminence, the excellence, which others are definitely having. Do we have any Harvard here? The answer is no. Do we have Kellogg's? Do we have Illinois? No, we don't have these universities. Our youth studying from IITs, IIMs and many other institutions, from the political science also, those who are pursuing international relation, internal security, they want to do some PhD in this. they want to pursue a certain theory, they want to publish some journal, they don't get space here, they have to go abroad. Then you see the top level companies, whether it is Google, Microsoft, you see the CEOs, Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, they all have their origin in India. So Indian people make a huge impact. There is a Silicon Valley in USA where Indian people, the Indian talent is running the economy of USA, but not its own economy. Why? They don't get that respect, they don't get that accolades, they don't get that salary in India. I understand. You see, I am running a business, I am running a industry, so the kind of resume I get, the kind of people I speak to, I can tell you with utmost certainty what we are lacking is the soft skill. Aspirants ask me what is wrong with my answer, then I tell them it is not about the points. Yesterday also I was evaluating one of the answers of psychology. So the thing is that the question was regarding your whether we are born with a personality, which can be a generic question, can be discussed in ethics also. So are we born with a personality? There are two types of theories. One which talks about the genes or your genetic makeup, your innate theories, nativist theories, then your other aspects like behaviorism, your socio-cultural approach, behaviorism, socio-cultural approach. You have to divide it like this. Then the answer should flow. Firstly, talk about this, then talk about this, then finally sum it up that in personality shape there is a huge role played by both of them, but it is largely tilted towards the genetic makeup. As far as the core part of personality is concerned, finish. Your answer is done. But what you are doing is you are bringing Bandura, Rotter, Sigmund Freud, Neo-Freudian approach, all those who are from psychology, most of you are, so you will definitely understand what I am talking about. You are giving each and every content to the examiner because you have rectified it, there is in your notes, but nobody has explained to you how to divide it so that the marks people get are in this range, 250 to 60. What is your aim? 300 plus for sure, it can be achieved easily. How? The smart learning. What is smart? It is not that smart learning says that you don't learn the books. I say that you should study the books, but in a smart way. What is the smart way? Just chisel down what is required, what is there in your syllabus. Likewise, for ethics paper also, there is a syllabus, there is a way of studying it. What people are lacking is soft skill, how to present it so that it is eye-catchy. When the examiner is going and evaluating your scripts, you are making grammatical mistakes every now and then, you are not giving real life example. I see the essay of two students I evaluated. One wrote too many things but not giving examples. Another one giving so many examples, real life example from surrounding, getting more marks. In ethical conduct also, you have to build your ethical competence. You have to give example from your surroundings so that the examiner has an understanding that you are an ethical person. You don't know about the ethics, that is, you are not well conversant about the theories of the ethics only, but you are practicing it. And this practice will not come only through the theories. Since the first day, the training should be focused towards the application part, the examples part. Whenever we are talking about any topic, I am giving you examples or not? The answer is yes. And the theory part should be given in a precise format, a formula, a mnemonic should be there, some peg words should be there, some storyline should be there, so that students can grasp it, chew it, digest it and blurt it out in the examination. As simple as that, with lots of examples. The examiner is bound to give you marks. Examiner will have to give you marks come what may. But if you keep on writing about a theory after theory, do you think examiner does not know and you are giving some new theory to the examiner? The answer is no. Examiner knows more than you, definitely. He reads 10 books of psychology daily. You are reading one book of psychology, not even reading that one book. reading only one notes, that too is 75% of the notes is useless, which is running in the market, everybody giving the same example. This is very bad, and as a teacher I feel really bad for the students who have been misled. Likewise, in ethics also there is the importance of your examples. So coming back to our topic, when we are talking about your ethics topic, so there is a brain drain. So the youth of the country is not getting absorbed in the manufacturing sector. We'll give you the example, and this is how economy should also be taught actually in your premier institutions of the country. The companies which are from core, that is somebody is doing BTech or BE from mechanical, or suppose you are studying psychology, you are a BA psychology or BSc psychology, whatever degree different universities provide. So psychology degree you got, you can be trained further, you can do masters, you can be trained to get a doctorate, and then you can start training people, you can start training for your counseling, which is very important nowadays. Marital discords have too many marital discords, students are committing suicides. Mental health of people across the globe, especially in India, has deteriorated like anything. Post COVID, yes, more than that. Do you not have a career here? The answer is yes, but the industry is not ready to, or industry is not tied up with the universities to absorb you in these core sectors. So what you have to run towards, again you will learn some graphics, you will learn some tools of software, and then you will join the software industry. Brain drain. People from IITs not able to find mining engineers. See, I am a mining engineer. My interest in mining is deep. So if I had got Coal India Limited or any good mining company to hire me, I would have joined the mining sector. People from mechanical would have joined the mining sector, mechanical sectors, civil sectors. But what they are joining, I had to join IBM as a software analyst in my first placement in the campus itself. So you see the situation. A person who could have done much better in the core industry is being forced to join software industry. And in the software also, we have not done something great because our emphasis is on money, money, money. Whenever you hire somebody, they will always ask you how much salary we get in hand, how much you are giving to the company. When Narayan Murthy talks about 70 hours a week of work, these things should be heard by you. These things are very important. These are the things you write in the examination. You are not a civil servant of 25, 30 years ago who is only taught emotional intelligence, 4 parts, emotional self-regulation, emotional knowledge, this, that. That is not important. What is important is these discussions, 70 hours a week work, okay? Narayan Murthy says that every youth of the country should work for 70 hours a week. What does it mean? If you work for 6 days, almost 12 hours a day. Now, what is your take about it? Do you think it is morally, ethically correct to press people to work like this? Do you think it is possible, the kind of mechanicality we are involved into? Do you bring innovation to the company? The answer is no. You define, even in private sector, you say that you must have a defined role, not in the government sector. So in this scenario, where can we bring innovation from? And largely speaking, as I wanted to point out, the most important fact is that the soft skill is missing. What is soft skill? It is not that graphics cannot be taught to you. It is not that C++ cannot be taught to you or anybody. This is very simple. Technically, we are very smart, technically profound, precise. But if you look at the soft skills, which form a very important one, non-verbal communication. It's not only the verbal communication, non-verbal communication. There we are lacking. Report from FICCI, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, ASSOCHAM, clearly says that Indians lack soft skills. So the complete orientation, or rather complete reorientation, is required to bring our country toward that $5 trillion dream. Or even if our economy grows, the money will be into the hands of a few people if we don't focus on these things. So as a future civil servant, as an aspirant who wants to join the machinery of civil services, which is the backbone of, which is the steel frame of the country, you must brood about, you must think about, you must ponder about these issues. These should be your concern. Coming to the point that what role civil servants play, the whole context was being built. Civil servants, as I told you, are not only the status quo, they are not only maintaining the stability in society, but they are the change oriented ones, they are the leaders, the movers. As we have seen, first of all, the situation should be there: unfreeze, change, and then freeze. Whatever attitudes we are holding, that should be unfrozen. Let it melt, let it change, then change it, and after it has been changed, freeze it. Again, unfreeze according to the requirements of the society. So civil servants play a profound role in the not only the maintenance of the society, but its change, but its future, but its vision. As I gave you the context. And this context was built because this should be your fodder. There actually the youth of the country should be discussing. There should be discussion club. Online you have groups, WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups. What is the discussion? Especially for civil services aspirants, lots of content being given, content after content. This content will not make you score well or better civil servant. The idea is that there should have been discussion groups. In the discussion group, what should have been the discussion? How to make our country great? What is your vision of India? I have no vision. I don't know. Many of the youth of the country, they are involved in the online gaming. They are wasting their time. They should be involved in the future. 23-year-old Bhagat Singh laid down his life. 23-year-old only, for the freedom of the country. Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Sukhdev, Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, they threw bomb at the assembly at this tender age. You see? Now, if you ask a guy who is 31 years old, one of the students of mine, he wrote the exam many a times, he did not pass it. He says that I don't have any motivation. How to get up in the morning? I don't know how to get money, asking money from my home, very difficult. You are 31 years old, you have written so many civil service examinations. Can't you just be absorbed as a content developer in the coaching? Content developer, leave aside everything else. Can't you do something, learn some skill, get absorbed in as a plan B? Because see, there is no certainty in life. And you should also be pragmatic. I'm just showing you the picture, what is happening with the youth of the country. At the age of 21, 23, 25, you should be so motivated by seeing you, people who are older, they should be jealous. What kind of profound energy. But the situation is that the older people are more energetic. Change it, which is very important. Now, civil servants are involved in this. So, if we divide the role of the civil servants, that is primarily PF, PI, PR. And what are these things? PF is your policy formulation. This is policy implementation, this is policy review. Civil servants are involved at all these levels. Okay. What is policy formulation? Suppose the government is thinking of, first of all, the context. You see, the child sex ratio, that is from 0 to 6 months age group, the number of girl child only 940 out of 1000 boys. Just giving you an example. Is it a matter of concern? Yes. We know that the fetus, the female fetus, is 2.7 times more strong than the male fetus. So how is it happening? Why lesser children? Because of the premature abortions, because of selective abortions, because of PCPNDT, Preconception Prenatal Diagnostic Test Act, not being followed in the right manner. This is happening. The government got alarmed, and otherwise also our, if you look at the overall sex ratio also, that's also not healthy. It's not 1000, it should be 1000. For 1000 male there should be 1000 female, and in fact going by the analysis of the fetus being strong, it should be more than that. But what is the situation right now in most of the states? Even now I'm saying, pathetic. To change the attitude, to change the practices, the government is thinking of a program. The whole analysis is done by your senior civil servants, by the social agencies who are involved here. The NGOs, then there are certain eminent people, eminent citizens, like earlier it used to be, he used to be very profound, John Dries, Aruna Roy. These were the people who were very important. Kailash Satyarthi, who runs a Bachpan Bachao Andolan NGO. These people are involved. They do a study, then they find that a program is to be formulated. And how is the program formulated? As I gave you the example the other day, in Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh, various programs were brought for the welfare of the tribals. But they all failed because it did not resonate with the ground. So before launching any program, it is important that a profound study is done throughout the country. On the ground, policy formulation should not take place from top down approach, top to bottom. This approach should not be followed. The approach should be bottom to top. And how can that happen? Because once you get to know what actually is at the situation at the ground, you cannot formulate a policy. That is why, what is the practice now? When a person, when a student, an aspirant clears civil services examination, during the initial years only, they are attached with the headquarter. That is, they are attached with the secretariat, initially only. What happens in the secretariat? See, there is a field, and this is called headquarter. Policy formulation takes place at the headquarter level, PF. In the field, policy implementation takes place. This is implementation. Policy formulation only at the headquarter. But the civil servants who are probationary officers who have just joined civil services, they are also attached with the ministries. They are also attached with the departments, so that they understand how the policies are formulated. So they apply this when they reach to the ground. When from the ground they can send a real signal. As I always talk about, the signal is important, not the noise. The real signal means what? The real data, facts, data which are from the ground, the reality. We brought Dowry Prohibition Act. Do you think dowry has been prohibited? Do you think dowry has stopped? Do you think there are any marriage for that matter, unless it is a intercaste marriage, unless they are marrying because of their own choice? If it is arranged, there has to be dowry, definitely. either directly or indirectly. So, why it is happening? What is the reason? The reason behind this is that policies were not formulated by their consent. The consent was not taken. If you don't take the consent of the people, that is, if you don't build a consensus, if the consensus would have been brought, if the consensus would have been built throughout the country, then Dowry Prohibition Act, Domestic Violence Act, all the acts would have been formulated, then people would have agreed to implement it in their real life. Otherwise, what is happening? People are not adhering to it. Why? Because this has been imposed upon them. Likewise, when the reality, when the facts come from the field, they understand in the hinterlands, in the villages of Haryana, still there is a prevalence of male dominance. So, first of all, that needs to be changed. A lot of change was brought even by movies like Dangal, which brought out the issue of how women sportsmen, women sportsperson, what kind of issues they face when they are asked to join the sports fraternity, what kind of attitude is shown by reflected by the society. First, that needs to be changed, and whatever policies we bring, that should resonate with the common citizens. So after going through all these things, government formulates your Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. In the formulation of this policy, civil servants are not only actively but primarily involved. Primary role is that of the civil servants in this kind of policy. Now the policy has been formulated, a tagline has been given. Prime Minister has also spoken from the ramparts of the Red Fort that this is our flagship policy. What should we do to implement it? Whose question is this? What should we do to implement? Civil servants again. In the policy implementation, whether it is policy formulation or policy implementation, how it will be implemented, how will be cut across the country, like 700 plus districts are there in the whole country. We'll go from one district to another. Which districts will target first? Will we use it on a pilot basis? On a pilot basis, only 10 districts are taken, 10 districts, or say only 100 districts to make it broader. Then from there the review is collected, that is the third step of the role of the civil servants, policy review. After launching this program in the 100 districts, the civil servants will see what is the feedback. Feedback, how it is operating, whether the program is becoming successful or not. And if it is not becoming successful, what are the reasons? Various reasons the civil servants will jot down. Then, this is your policy formulation, this is your implementation, this is your policy review. Through the policy review, this feedback is given and policy formulation is improved. If it was policy O, then it will be policy 1. So what will change from P1 to PO? The feedback which has come from the ground. This is the whole role of the civil servants. Now, so primary role of the civil servants is policy formulation, implementation and its review, the feedback. In this, apart from the managerial efficiency which I have talked about earlier, there are two things. One is your managerial capacity, managerial efficiency. Then after that, legality, rationality, and then comes your ethical conduct, ethics, moral, ethical values. And ethics, values, ethical values. Apart from the legality, rationality, what is rationality? I have already talked about this. The You have to see the economy. The program should not be a wastage of money. What actually happens, it is a wastage of money. Like for Beti Bachao Beti Padhao, 70% of the fund was used for its advertisement only, everywhere. Prime Minister's picture along with the billboards everywhere. The promotion of the Prime Minister, promotion of the political party. What about the promotion of the program? Yes, the tagline reached to everywhere, but we don't have fund to implement it. So it has to be economic. Then it has to be efficient. It should be done within the timeline. Every project should be finished within the timeline given for a project. But what is happening? If you have heard Nitin Gadkari, who is Road and Transport Minister, that most of the programs are lagging behind because of the bureaucratic hurdles. We'll see what are bureaucratic hurdles. Then it has to be effective. Has it been able to make some changes? The answer is no. So, the civil servants are not only supposed to see your managerial efficiency. As I talked about it earlier, planning, organizing and communicating, three things are there. Plan the project, organize your physical infrastructure, organize your human resources infrastructure, then communicate the channel. Then after that you see the legal framework, whether it is constitutionally, whether it is legally viable or not. You see the rationality, economy, efficiency, effectiveness. After that, and cutting across each and everything, is the ethical moral conduct, the value system which is driving it. And it is the most important thing. If we talk about the country now, which has reached to level where we are at the verge of becoming a developed country, if we just harness our demographic dividend, DD. Demographic dividend. What is demographic dividend? We are a youthful country, and if we tap the resources, as I was talking about, if we ensure that our knowledge economy, as APJ Abdul Kalam used to talk about, knowledge economy. Our sports economy, that is, sports wise also, we are too good to do, but still we have very less gold medals. Most of the youth, most of the citizens of the country are glued to the TV just to watch the cricket match. They are not watching basketball, they are not watching hockey, they are not watching football. Despite the fact that we have huge talent, we are not using our energy. So, knowledge economy, sports economy, or fitness economy, we can say, we can use that. Skill enhancement, skills. See, in your house, whenever the fan or the light or anything is not functioning, do you call a BTech from IIT? The answer is no, because he will not know how to correct it. Whom do you call? A mechanic who knows these things. And where were they trained? They were trained into the ITIs. They got the diploma. We need these people more so, more often. As I was talking about the other day, police is top heavy. Top level officials are more than what there has to be. Top heavy. The administration is having more number of IPS, more number of superiors, and the constables are very less, the SIs are very less. It should be more at the cutting edge of the administration. Likewise, there should be more of these diploma people, skill, which will drive the manufacturing sector. So, these all civil servants are supposed to follow. Apart from this managerial, legal, rational efficiency, ethical values are important. And for the ethical value, you need not run here and there. Just remember this British Nolan Committee. There is no need to write the name of British Nolan Committee, but use these: accountability, integrity, selflessness, honesty, loyalty, objectivity, openness. The 7 values. These are the values which drive the life of a civil servant from the beginning. Even when you are training, even when you are preparing for the civil services, these values should be ingrained within your personality so that you get more marks in the exam. These values indicate towards one primary factor, and that primary factor, as enumerated by the ARC report, 4th report, Ethics in Governance, also suggests public interest. What should you be driven by? You should be driven by public interest. Whatever you do, it should be done in the interest of the public, in the interest of the people, nothing else. In the interest of the people. Public interest should drive you. Public interest is enshrined everywhere in our constitution, in our laws, civil service conducts, moral codes, ethical conduct. Your conscience should also be driven by public interest. When you start driving your conscience, the inner moral compass which drives your behavior, that also starts running towards public interest, then only the whole conduct of yours will become oriented towards public interest. All the values indicate towards this only, public interest. And as I have told you, dedication towards public service comes from here only, dedication towards public service. And what was dedication to public service? Going beyond the call of the duty. Your duty is not defined just only by the laws, rules, regulations. But you have to go beyond the call of the duty to see that the last and the least, the last person in the queue, least person in the queue, the person who is the least empowered, the person who is the most underprivileged, the person who is economically, socially at the lowest rung of the society is catered to, is treated, is addressed first. That is important. If you ingrain these values inside you, then only it will be reflected in your, as I told you, there are 3: cognitive, affective, behavioral, or thinking, feeling, acting, TFA. Thinking, feeling, acting. What do you think about? Yes, you think to be honest, but your feeling is not oriented towards that, you will have dissonance. You are not acting in an honest manner, although you keep on saying that honesty should be followed. See, it is very difficult. I must tell you that if you are teaching ethics, this ethical paper, ethics in governance is not important. Ethics, integrity, aptitude paper, when you are teaching, your conduct should also be ethical in your private life, in your public life. Otherwise, use lot of dissonance. Lot many teachers teaching ethics but not following any ethical conduct in their personal or professional behavior. Very dangerous approach, a dissonant approach actually. So we will see the problems which are surrounding the civil services as far as ethical part is concerned, its solutions, what are the way out, the ethical moral code of conduct, not only in the public sector but the private sector, the international institutions, the corporate governance, what should be the framework which governs the ethical moral conduct throughout this ecosystem in our next class, which will definitely be the next week. So today is your 11th, today is your 10th, so 11th is 12th will be your Sunday. So Monday 13th we'll have our class of ethics, integrity, aptitude. We will cover this definitely in the next week and the next chapter. Apart from this chapter, only one chapter is left. We'll cover these two chapters next week and the coming week, these 2 weeks. Theory will be done with the theory in our November itself. Then we'll do a rigorous practice in the case study, taking all the parts which we have covered in theory, practicing in a case study, and we will define a framework, give you formulas for each and every type of case study, so that you score more. Our focus will be more on applied part, focus will be more on techniques, tricks, so that you score better in ethics. And that is, I have already told you, 140 is very much achievable, there is no doubt about that. Thank you very much. We'll join you again on Monday as far as this ethics class is concerned. Have a good day.